Welcome to the Debbie and Ken Show.
Real people, real talk.
From
Challenges to wisdom, conversations that heal, inspire, and empower. We're so glad that you're here.
So glad. I'm so glad that you're here.
And
we have an exciting guest today.
We have an exciting guest for you.
Just going to fill you with so much information and wisdom.
For your finances, holistically. I love that. I love that. And so we're honored to have Montel of My Modern Wealth. And we want to actually, we'll introduce you, but what I want to hear is your story of how you got to My Modern Wealth. So
absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I appreciate you two ladies having me on. I've been watching as a fan in the background with a couple podcasts that you ladies have done, and I've been a little jealous.
Yeah.
I was, a little jealous that I didn't get reached out in the beginning of the season, but no worries. We're here today, and no, really is a pleasure. Oh, go ahead, Deb.
I was just going to say, we know that you have a very busy schedule, and we were just trying to figure out how we were going to get you on the podcast. So
I'm just glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here. And
Absolutely.
I am also a fan of yours, Live Your Aim. And I want to talk a little bit more about that as well.
Yep, 100%. We can talk about that and some updates in terms of restructure. Kimberly, you asked a good question out the gates. Who am I known for today? Just to kind of start high level, I do own a financial planning company called My Modern Wealth, where we integrate personal wealth strategy, tax planning, and business strategy all under one practice, under one roof. Our primary ideal client is going to be your modern founder or modern professional. So we can kind of unpack that in the later episodes. Obviously, I'm sure we'll get to that. Or I'm sorry, later in the episode. But
And
that's
that
who
too.
I am
We
known
can have you
for.
back. We can have you back.
There we go. Yeah. Maybe on a round two, because that's a conversation for another weekend, and another episode. But that's who I'm known for today professionally. Also a family man. Have a beautiful wife who I've been knowing since 2012 is when we met. Got married in 2022. So been married for 4 years, and now we have a little son that we brought to the family who's now 17 months. Name
I
is
love it.
Hollis. So huge on family, and honestly, the reason why I say that, guys, because that's one thing I want to be known for, because that is what motivates me, and that's what brings my passion. That's why I wake up every day is how can I get my family where we need to be.
Mm.
Even though I'm a financial planning, owner of a financial planning firm, Kimberly, to answer your question directly as I'm getting back to it, I didn't grow up like that at all. I actually didn't even know what a financial advisor was until I was in college. It was
typical, I think.
Right.
Typical.
Exactly. I mean, growing up in
Especially
Los
in our
Angeles.
community.
Yeah, in our community, right? Growing up in Los Angeles in the inner city. A family of 5. I have a twin brother, my older brother as well. The only time we talked about money in my household, and it is very common in minority household where money is just not even talked about at all. It's like, yeah, we can talk about everything else, but with money, no one needs to know. And that's not the case, because as you guys know, money is not everything, but in order for you to live a life where you're happy and not stressed out, money is deeply correlated. I call it's secondhand to oxygen. You need to breathe.
Yeah.
You kind of need finances, at least to know how it works and know your money system.
Yes. I've heard, excuse me, but I've heard the term that money gives you more choices. Doesn't make you happy all the time, but it gives you more choices.
Yeah. 100%. I think that's exactly what it does. It's the options and the choices, and the freedom is a loaded word. What does that mean? It's kind of different for everybody, but I feel like a piece of that is you need health and you need wealth,
Exactly.
and obviously relationships is coupled with that. So I grew up in that typical Black family where we did not talk about how to create wealth at the dinner table. The only time we talked about money was when our phone bills and Wi-Fi and cable would get cut off. And that's when I'm going, wait, why is it that in the summer months where we're not at school, I can't contact any of my friends because moms don't want to pay the cell phone bill. Meanwhile, she's out there getting pedicures and manicures and new rims on the Mercedes. So that's my first impression on, is money even serious? I do see it is serious, but mom's
Yeah.
not treating it like it's serious.
Yeah.
So
When
that was
you're
my deep discovery right there, just being fascinating on how money works. It wasn't until I got into college where I found myself in my mom's shoes. One thing my mom did teach us well, not one-on-one teaching, but as you guys know, kids do what you do, not what you say. So just by
Mhm.
me observing my mom, she was a real estate brokerage owner. She owned a real estate brokerage, not just an agent. She actually had a brokerage
Yeah.
firm called 5M's Realty. So she made her kids do the bookkeeping. She made us show up at the showings to sell the houses.
So
And yeah, she made us
that's
do
great
all that. She never
experience.
taught us what to do. She never taught us how to open up an LLC. She never told us what to do. She just had us tag along. And out of all the brothers, my two brothers and I'm one who really watched that the most. And I went to entrepreneurship right away in college. My twin brother and I own a company that we actually sold in college in 2018. And as fast as that money hit our account, when we liquidated our shares, it disappeared just as quick.
My, oh my.
And that's when I realized, okay, I observed my parents in two ways, right? Of course, I got the entrepreneurial traits, but success in business does not equate to success in money. My mom was good at selling
Mm,
houses. I remember she sold a house one
way.
time and bought a um, BMW for my brother cash, no payments.
Wow.
Like my mom was good at what, but again, was the smartest thing to do buy a BMW cash?
Now that you're a financial wealth advisor, you're like, that's
Right.
not smart.
A kid who's 15 years old, and then later down the years he ended up totaling the car. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't the smartest financial decisions, but it is something that I grasped early on. And that's when I realized, you know what, before I go into business or start another business, I need to know how money works. And I actually seeked to hire a financial advisor. I challenged him to mentor me. I challenged him to teach me principles. He helped us with our savings rate. He helped us, with our debt elimination. He helped my girlfriend, who's now my wife, pick her stocks and funds inside of her 401k at her current job that she was at.
Wow. That's
So she
great.
helped me a lot, and I said, you know what? And my wife said, I know exactly what you're thinking. This probably is a business for you. And I said, this is the next business. Why not just be in business where I'm learning money? And I successfully exited the company. I can teach people how, when they liquidate a company, what should you do afterwards, personal planning, life after planning, etc. And that's how I jumped in the financial industry. Now, Modern Wealth came about by me joining a family practice. It was in Gilbert, Arizona. It was about maybe 20 or so advisors, so pretty small. Um, During that family practice, I actually met my two business partners today by the name of Jack and Dylan. That's when our journey really started in 2019, which is right after I sold the company. I got my
Okay.
licenses. Our journey started. And then we decided to create My Modern Wealth just for so many reasons that I'm sure we'll dive into. But that's how that shaped out. So sorry to answer your question, but or longly winded answer it, but had to
That's
give you
okay.
the
No, that was
path.
perfect. That was perfect because we got to know you
Mhm.
and the whole process. So you started My Modern Wealth in 2019?
No, we started. Good point. I joined the industry of finance in 2019,
Oh, okay.
and we started My Modern Wealth almost about 20 months ago. So it was 2024 of May. So we're almost there, knocking on that door. Yep. So I like to say, Kimberly, that's a good point. I like to say Modern Wealth's pretty new. It's a new company, but not new people. The
Yeah,
people in
because
the industry, if you add my experience and my business partners, we have over 40 plus years of experience. So we know what we're doing. We're just doing it together and creating our own firm.
well, I all I know is I've been working with you, my husband Rich and I, for over 5 years, and we've been happy.
Yeah, it's been
Awesome.
it's
Very
been a
happy.
ride, and I do appreciate. I want to publicly say I appreciate your belief in me when I was young in the industry. Cause like you said, 5 years ago, I mean, I've been in the industry since 2019. So that was in my rookie years, right? Maybe 1 or 2 years into it. And, um, I think it's been a journey just to be able to know you guys both professionally and personally.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you and your family. Just uh, wonderful people.
Absolutely.
Wonderful
Yep.
people. So I would, yeah, recommend you. So we
Yeah.
got
I appreciate it.
questions. We probably should get
Yeah.
to
We
those.
always have questions. And how that work, we already did that. But I was listening to uh I listened to your podcast, Live Your Aim, and I
Mhm.
was interested in knowing, how did you come up with that name,
Wow. Good
and
question.
how do you explain it to people when they see that name, Live Your Aim?
Wow. That's a good question. I'm going to try to condense it for you. For me to explain it, I have to have you dive into my mindset of how I think about business as a whole. I like to call myself someone who is very business conscious and just so happens to be in the financial industry. Because again, I did sell a company that had nothing to do with finances. I'm fascinated with business growth and marketing and lead generation. So I actually serve as, of course, the founding partner or one of the founding partners with My Modern Wealth, but my role is actually the chief marketing officer. So I do all the marketing, branding, paid ads, organic, etc. I'm
Mhm.
basically, how the heck do we exist online? That's my job.
Okay.
Our social capital, I like to call it. And so Live Your Aim came out. It's fascinating. It's a podcast I listen to about CMOs, and before he brings on a guest, he always asks one of the CMOs, chief marketing officers, "Hey, what's a brand that you are fascinated with, or an early brand that you can think of just early on?" That's just how we think, right? As marketing and brand artists, we love other brands and how they tell the story. So I always love how that story, or how he starts off his podcast. And I always said, if he were to put me on there, mine would be Modelo. Modelo was a shadowed beer company in the United States,
Yeah.
and actually, it was a shadow. And now it's like, last time I checked, it was number one in sales over Bud Light, Coors Light,
Wow.
etc.
Wow.
And
Modelo.
Modelo,
Okay.
yeah. And Modelo just started to create a wave. Before that, it was the Coronas, the Coors Light. You didn't really see Modelo, but right now you really do.
You
And
really
it's
do,
because they
yes.
changed their model from being the beer company of someone who shares the characteristic of strong and resilient and bold. And every commercial stems back to that one liner I just gave you, which is the person who's being bold. And so they have a slogan that's called, I think, the fighter spirit is exactly what it's called. So someone who drinks our beer is someone who's a fighter. And so they started off their niche in niching in psychographics, not necessarily an industry niche. It was someone who's resilient and bold, who's on to something, right? And every single commercial reflects back to that. They actually are the beer company for the UFC, Fighter Spirit. They did a lot of beer commercials for the boxers, and they just feature stories. It all goes back to that psychographic. I love that so much, and I wanted to do the same thing with My Modern Wealth. I wanted to add a little bit of something different that's not in our industry because, again, we're modern. Everything that we would replicate in our industry is very traditional, and I don't want to replicate that. So I looked outside of our industry, and I found, okay, fighter spirit, I like that. How do I translate that to finance? You know what? I got it. Someone who's living their aim, who's intentional, who's on to something, who dared to dream bold, who wants to question all society norms. And we are the firm who understands your bold, ambitious goals, and we're going to help you tie your money with your mission. So that's how Live Your Aim came about. We're actually in the midst of restructuring that a little bit. We're still keeping the Live Your Aim brand, but talking
Yeah.
more to the modern founder, the remote driven entrepreneur.
Uh-huh.
Um, but Live Your Aim is that fighter
Which is
spirit
a
of the
growing
Modelo.
Right.
more and more entrepreneurship is the new way of life.
Sure, I
It
agree.
more and more. I mean, finding entrepreneurs are born daily, daily. So, if
I agree.
that's and what I love about that is it's a win-win-win. The entrepreneur is providing a service. Usually it's from their passion. It's what they love. It's what
Mhm.
they're good at. It's what they've been uniquely prepared for. And then everybody needs something, you know. So you have the people that serve the entrepreneurs, and then you have the entrepreneurs that are providing that service. And so I just think that's the future. That's sustainability.
And I would even say this, Kimberly, I agree with everything you just said 1000%. And all I would do would just add on with this statement. Not only is entrepreneur the way of life, and that's a growing pool, but because of automation, because of AI, and because of technology, a
Yes.
remote driven entrepreneur, because I mean, now you can run a pretty lean business, right? You don't need all those software developers anymore. You probably need two or three. And, now you can have a lean infrastructure, you leveraging AI and technology to where you can, pull up your laptop wherever you're at and be able to
Hmm.
work and get work done. So I think remote
Yeah.
entrepreneurs are really, we're really going to see that more and more. And you got to think 2020 for that, right?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Everything
Exactly.
happens exactly the way it's
Supposed
supposed
to
to for
happen.
the highest good of everyone involved.
100%.
That's
Yep.
I'm interested in your concept though, because you made the statement that everybody does the traditional savings or the traditional plan, but your organization is the modern financial planner and showing people how we're what is the term I think you use? New money. What does that term mean, and how would we use that to do our financial planning? How would we enhance it? I know that's a long question.
What I think I'm hearing that you're asking is what is different about what you do? How do you
Yes.
do it?
How is it different?
Yeah. That is a great question. And I think you asked it great, Debbie. So I don't want you to diminish how you asked that because that was awesome.
Okay.
Um,
Sorry.
so many ways of how I can attack that. So I want to touch on the traditional part that you said because we're very intentional from the mind shift of traditional finance to modern finance. Now, that's not to say that traditional advice is bad. It just wasn't built for how founders and modern earners, which is equity paid earners, people who get employee stock options, RSUs, um, it's not built for how they actually operate. Because if you look at the traditional lens of how finance is taught, it's really taught in two ways. Number one is very product driven. There are countless of prospects I spoke with on the phone who became clients because they were turned off by an advisor just shoving down products down their throat, not talking about the person. And my phrase all the time in my first meeting is, look, too many financial professionals, Mr. and Mrs. Client, they get the numbers right and the person wrong. We want to flip that and start off with you and start off with the heart because that's everything, right? It's
Mhm.
I
Right.
may be talking about retirement, but you may have $60,000 in debt that's really keeping you up at night. So if I wasn't able to touch on that, what am I doing? I'm just selling you a product. So we like to shift that thinking from traditional to modern. So that's the first way it's taught. The second way that traditional finance is taught is it's very linear because, traditionally it's basically let me manage your investments. I collect 1% as your money grows. And then you and I will meet maybe once or twice a year, and that's it. That's the relationship. And honestly, that's maybe great for someone who is just W-2. They don't really have a lot of movements. Actually, I even push back on that because I feel like a financial eruption happens in your life every 90 days to 6 months. It's just inevitable that you're going to have to dive into your emergency savings a couple of times throughout the year, no matter what.
Mm,
So I think that traditional model of just meeting with someone once a year is thrown out the window. What are we really doing to actually dive into the nitty gritty and service you and attack the things that are most important and try to put in preventions in place so that if we do need to pull out of certain accounts, we're liquid enough and don't have to, sack our retirement accounts or our qualified accounts. Um, so how are we different? What do we do? We have a slogan that's called New Vision, New Mindset, and New Opportunities. So the new vision is looking
I
at
love that.
finance.
New vision, new mindset,
Yep,
new
new vision, new
opportunities.
mindset, and new opportunities. It was new money, but my business partners pushed back on me and they didn't like the new money concept. And just because we are the most heavily regulated industry in the world, so
Mhm.
we had to switch that up a little bit. But new opportunities, I love even more, and I'll talk about that. But the new vision
Yeah,
is looking at finance from a different lens, starting off with what is your overall purpose? Now, I know we're not going to get that in the first meeting. We're not gonna talk, we're not just therapy, not even though we can be a lot of things, but we're not just gonna talk about your purpose. We don't expect the client to come to us and know their purpose right away. But every conversation gets closer to what is your aim? See what I did there with the live your aim? What are we going
yes,
for? Your aim is going to help us with your purpose. Whatever you're striving for, we're going to help you clarify that. Because honestly, Mr. and Mrs. Client, when we know exactly what we're going for and we have a plan, then we can start talking about how we can put products in place to fulfill that plan.
I
But we got to
love
start
that.
off with
Yeah.
what that vision is first. So the vision starts off
Yes.
was looking at from a different lens. The mindset is actually carrying that vision from that different lens and thinking of finance, thinking of money as a tool, not a scoreboard. Again, for what traditional finance says, treat money like a scoreboard. The bigger numbers means you're winning, right? But to a modern founder or to someone who just wants to know if they're financially healthy today, they don't care about a net worth and a big number. It's just, hey, tell me when I'm going to get out of debt. Is it this year? Is it next year?
Yeah.
So that's that new mindset is what is our aims, our goals, our visions, our purpose? How do we start to carry that out into this different mindset and looking at money as a tool? And then new opportunities. We are modern. We are advisors. We have opportunities and options that we can provide that your traditional financial institution, I'm not going to say any names, but they start
Yeah.
with a name and end with the last name. Um, they can provide because you can only get it through an exclusive independent financial advisor. And, I can rattle off so many things. Obviously, with Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency, we have a little bit of exposure of our clients into that. Alternative investments, whether it be private equity. We have a fund that our clients can own a percentage of a football team. So many things, structured notes, etc. It's not just your traditional S&P 500. We have different
Mhm.
strategies that can help someone get from point A to point B 2 to 10x faster. So that's
That's
our
awesome.
differentiator in what we do, and I hope that kind of clarifies a
It
little bit.
does, it does. It
Okay.
clarifies that a lot. Okay, the other thing that people say, and I know you've probably heard this a lot, and maybe not with the entrepreneurs, but, "I'm just barely making it," you know? Um, "Where am I gonna find this extra money to invest and save and work towards my goals?" Do you help with that as well?
Yeah, that is a good question. And again, like I told you guys with my story. Yeah, our business is doing good. We're on pace to 2x what our rolling revenue was last year. However, I told you guys, and I'm not saying that to brag. I tell you guys that because my story, right? We didn't talk about
Yeah.
how to create wealth at the dinner table. I grew up in a very middle class, which is a different story. I don't think there is a middle class. I think it's poverty or 1%.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of those poverty ways of, how money works. And so I love when I can give back to someone who's just starting because that's where I came from. Again, I didn't know what
Mhm.
the heck a financial advisor was until I was like 20 years old. So imagine if I
Mhm.
can help someone who's just starting and make up for time. The numbers, if you listen to this podcast and if you're young, it is absurd when you look at the numbers of if you would have started investing off in your 20s and your 30s. The numbers are crazy. And to be able to put, you don't know what you don't know. So if I can put that in front of someone earlier rather than later, hopefully they can start putting away 100 a month, 200 a month, getting them up to a couple of thousand, because that's just going to help your overall financial freedom number over time. But to answer
Yeah.
your question, Debbie, a little bit more directly, when I get in front of someone like that, I have a monopoly rule. Have you ladies played Monopoly before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Obviously, there's house rules and there's rules by the book.
Yes.
I have 4 rules that you must abide to, or you can't pass go unless you do these certain things. My first thing is establishing a emergency fund. Now, if you put that in context of Monopoly, you get paid first before you go around the board, right?
Yes.
You start off with money, because if you go to jail or you go into debt, you need some money to pay somebody. So
Right.
before you start off in life, if you don't start off with an emergency fund and have liquidity first, it's just a big no-no. I did that in my first years in the industry. I was excited with getting my friends who were 25 like me, hey, just start investing off $50 a month until 6 months happens. Again, every 90 days to 6 months, some kind of financial event happens in our personal life. They're like, hey, I got to pull out all that money I put in my Roth IRA. And even though I'm
Mm,
25, I got to take it out because I have nothing liquid and I just got an emergency. So that's the
wow.
first thing. Don't get kicked out of the game.
To the emergency fund.
Establish your emergency fund. Even, experts like to recommend 3 to 6 months of income. I like to call the emergency fund the now bucket. What do I need now in 0 to 2 years? Which is, what are my emergencies? What are my unplanned expenses? And what are our major planned expenses? Major planned expenses are things like, I got to buy a car because I just had a baby and I got to get an SUV and I got to get that car in the next 6 months. Great. We need to have that in the savings and liquid. You don't want that invested in 6 months. Anything can happen.
Mm.
So again, emergency fund first. Once you have that, the second thing I like to mention is having the proper amount of life insurance. Um, there's so many ways I can dive into. I like to just to educate the listeners, because you're going to get sold left and right from life insurance agents. I do think that before you buy life insurance, you want to talk with a financial advisor, someone who has multiple licenses, not just one insurance license. Because if you talk with an insurance person who's going to sell you life insurance and they only have one license, well, guess what they're going to sell you?
Life
Just that one
insurance.
license, life insurance. We
Mm.
have several, so we can kind of give you a bird's eye view of what's going to be the best for you based on your goals, your aims, your purpose, etc. I think the easiest way to leave wealth and generational wealth is getting a small piece of life insurance. Don't let it break the bank. I like term life insurance because it's for a period of time, whether it be 30, 45 years, however you can max it, the highest you can max it up to. You want to secure that for you and your family, because as you're growing your net worth, your pile of money, you're going to start to sustain and gain a lifestyle that is, going to be in that environment of your overall net worth. So right now, since you don't have that estate, you need to get income replacement just to make sure that your family's taken care of. God forbid something were to happen to you, or if that income is knocked off. So I like to say life insurance, easiest way to create generational wealth. So that's number 2. Number 3 is, once you do those 2 things, you want to get as close as you can to maxing out your retirement accounts, or just start saving
Mhm.
for the long term. You already did short term because you did the emergency bucket. So now start saving for the long term. You're going to thank yourself later. I think, um, again, I'm not giving investment advice. Do your own research, talk to your financial advisor or a tax accountant or consultant. But I think one of the
Or
greatest
you
investments in the
directly.
world is going, I have to throw that in disclosure. You see what I did there?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I
Yes.
think the greatest investment vehicle in the world is a Roth IRA. So many reasons why, but number one is because it's tax free once you pull it out. If at the least, that's something that you should start off with. Obviously, it's case by case. If you're looking to deduct income that year, maybe a Roth isn't for you that year. Maybe you want an IRA because that gives you that tax deduction. But a Roth IRA is going to be one of the best things. Ask Peter Thiel, the owner of PayPal. He started off he put a $2,000 deposit into a Roth IRA. You can put whatever investments in the Roth. The tax shelter is the Roth. He placed PayPal stocks in the Roth, and he's the co-founder of PayPal. We know what PayPal is today. So he bet it on himself. That $2,000 is now $5 billion of tax-free money. The Supreme Court, the government, everyone's like, what the heck? What did he do? He can't do this. Actually, he can, because he did it before he was at the income threshold. He only did it once, and he put PayPal stocks in it. Whatever stocks you put in the Roth, if it goes up and appreciates. But that's why I think, if Peter Thiel's doing it, who's a freaking billionaire, then I think, everyone can do it. And it's such a small start off to do it, right? It's just open up the freaking account.
Yes.
So that's maxing out your Roth. And the last thing, which, no order of priority, I guess you can say here, because honestly, this can even be one of the first things. And that's get rid of bad debt. Too many people coming to me sometimes, Debbie, and they're like, man, I got $500,000 in the bank. My business is doing good, but I got 50 grand in debt. Okay, what kind of debt is it? It's credit cards. Sheesh. Average credit card right now since 2022 is like 31 to 37% APR.
Yep.
I've seen crazy numbers. That is the biggest return on your dollar a financial advisor can give you if you come to them and you have that debt issue, is to get rid of the bad debt. Because here's what's guaranteed: 30% interest on your card year after year. What's not guaranteed is we're not going to get 30% in interest in the stock market year after year. That's not happening. So why would I tell you to invest when you got compound interest working against you? We need to get rid of that bad debt. So that's my 4 things, and that will help you get past the board and win at the game of My Modern Wealth Monopoly.
I love it. I love it. You got to create that game.
There you go.
That's cool.
In the making.
So what, you can ask it. You ask it, because just your question.
Oh,
what about
my question.
don't want to pay?
Yeah. What do you say to those individuals who want a FYI?
Who think they can't afford a financial advisor?
Yeah, good question. I would say, why not? It's a misconception that you have to have a boatload of income to have a financial advisor. And honestly, I don't blame them, because traditionally that's how it was promoted, right? A financial advisor is very investment management heavy. And put it like this: if you walked into one of the big names that is a name and a last name, let's say that, you walked in there, and one of them I'm thinking of right away, I'm not going to say the name, but they won't even talk to you unless you have $250,000 minimum.
Yeah.
Unless you got unless you know somebody that knows somebody, or you got $250,000, then you could become a client. So that's why most people are like, I can't afford an advisor, because they don't have that amount of money. And that's why we're trying to, and we're not the only ones. We like to say we're pioneers, but we're trying to shift that mindset of what a financial planner actually is. And excuse me, we actually like to call ourselves a financial planner more than an advisor. But the financial planner is really someone who, again, a lot of people like to use the word holistically and comprehensive, but you can't call yourself holistic or comprehensive if you don't have deep integrated financial planning in your practice. We have a advisory RIA, a registered investment advisory firm, which is a financial advisory firm. But we also have 2 LLCs under that, and that's going to be our insurance division, because a lot of us are insurance licensed, which is an offering for us that we feel like we're credible to talk about. And then we also have a bookkeeping and accounting division, which is where we run a lot of our business strategy through. We have a lot of offerings, and even the accounting division, we do a lot of credit repair. We have a financial coach who does a lot of debt repayment. She works with Experian. She's a certified at a lot of banking partners. We really want to dive into whatever we can satisfy in your financial life. All the pillars we like to call the big 6 we want to look at. So yeah, I would say, to answer your question directly, just start. Go in with how you intend. What partnership do you want out of an advisor? We always ask that. Mr. and Mrs. Klein, have you ever had an advisor before? No, I haven't. Great. So you're the perfect one to ask. what is a financial advisor in your eyes, and what should or should not they be doing? We want them to let us know to get an obviously, if it's super crazy high expectations, we let them know and we educate them
Right.
and walk them down. But if it's I want some if they say what more of the answers are, I want someone to look at my debt. I want someone to help me know if I'm ready to, buy an investment property. That is what we wanna look at, and if you have those kind of questions and you have a goal and an aim, and you have a number that you're chasing, don't wait until your assets get there. Sit down with someone now who can put a plan in place and get you there quicker with an actual vehicle and a plan.
I want you to be able to come back
Yes.
and help educate people about um, the difference that a financial planner makes. In other words, people go through life, and I know you've seen so many stories where people didn't know about having a financial planner and and suffer the consequences versus having a financial planner and experiencing the benefits, and the success in achieving the things that they want to achieve in life. I want you to come back and get into
Oh,
those things.
definitely, because we just scratched the surface. There's so many more questions that we have, and I'm sure our listeners have that question. So, how we will put this information also in our notes,
How they
but
can contact
how
you.
can they
Yeah.
contact you?
Yeah, sure. Well, first and foremost, as you alluded to in the beginning of the show, Debbie, check us out on our podcast, Live Your Aim, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, Spotify, um, Listen Notes, Podbean, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere, wherever you listen, even Amazon. So feel free to check us out. As far as again on Modern Wealth, if you want to look at our brand and our company and what we represent as far as a financial planning firm, it's going to be www.mymodernwealth.com. I'm sure I can send you the link and put it in the show notes.
Mhm.
Personally, everywhere I'm at is Montel Hawkins on Facebook, on Instagram. I am the Street Smart Advisor, so feel free to plug that in, and you'll find me there. But yeah, I'm not hiding. I try to be as many places as I can just to get in front of the right people in order to pass off this education and knowledge that we have.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, we are so happy to have you. We're glad we finally got you here,
Yes.
and
Yes.
we'll look forward to having you back.
Yes, yes. And maybe you might even be able to give us a title for the next episode that we have with you. So, or
Sure.
we may, or we may also get suggestions from our individuals that subscribe and leave
Love
us
it.
show notes. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I'll love that. If I get some real suggestions from people, I'll answer it on the spot. So that sounds like a good idea.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank
That is
you.
so
All right.
great. So we
Thank you
want to
so much.
thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
Yep,
to
I was
cut
just
you
saying thank
off.
you so much for having me. Hopefully I didn't derail the conversation too much.
Not
As
at
you ladies
all.
can
Not at
see,
all.
it's something I'm passionate about, being in this industry, and
And that's what we want to
it's
hear.
something that came to woke me up in my dreams, if you will, and followed me. So appreciate you allowing me to tell my story more because it just helps me get better and better. So thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
yes.
so appreciate it. It's
100%.
100%.
Or as you say, 1000%.
And anything that we could do to promote your business, we're willing to do because
Absolutely.
financial literacy is so important.
It is. It is.
So
Yeah.
important.
I
Yes.
would say this for your listeners because I kind of get an idea of who's listening, especially knowing your background. Something that is coming up that I would just kind of plug in is the AZ Tech Week. If your listeners
Nope.
are familiar with if your listeners are familiar with South by Southwest, which it goes down in Dallas, it's
Mhm.
basically a event in the city of Dallas all over about just showcasing the best entrepreneurs and businesses that are leading the way in Dallas. Well, a
Mm.
Mm.
couple entrepreneurs in Phoenix thought, you know what, we have that here in Maricopa, and Scottsdale. So AZ Tech Week is going to be huge. I'm thankful to be a part of it. We may be doing an event. If they want to know more information, I can talk about it the next time we get on. But just go to aztechweek.com, check it out.
Okay.
It already has
aztechweek.com.
it's already a calendar of schedules there. And
Okay.
actually, I'm sorry, it is not aztechweek.com. It's
Oh,
azcommerce.com/aztechweek.
commerce.
Yep. So I'll make sure I send you ladies the link and you can just plug it in the show notes.
Perfect.
Yep. But if
Okay.
you're someone that
Awesome.
likes networking, like meeting people, like knowing about business and fascinated about that kind of things, this will be an event that all of Arizona will be at.
Awesome.
Awesome. Raise the roof. Raise
All
the
right.
roof. Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you for coming on. We were just thrilled, overjoyed, and we look forward to having you back.
Yes, we do.
Awesome. Until next
We'd
time.
like to, until next time. All right. So we want to thank you for tuning in to the Debbie and Kim show.
And remember, you are perfect for your purpose for being here now. Now, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. We love hearing from you.
Thanks, Montel.
All righty.